one of my ex-wives, it's a sad thing when you say one of your ex-wives, but I'm going to say that. She had a green thumb and we wanted to travel, but she just could not.
Now in this video, it features one of the main reasons why I wound up driving all the way to Palmer, Alaska, was to meet Bob Wells. And if you don't know who he is and you're interested in van life or nomadic living, you have been living under a rock, because he's been around for years. I started following him many years ago. He does something called the RTR in Arizona, and that stands for the Rubber Tramp Renaissance, or some people call it Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. Now, in those events, what he does is he teaches people how to live in their vehicle or to live nomadically on a budget, and basically how to survive out there. And it's normally held in January every year. I've yet to go, but I will one day.
p.m. It is no longer at 9 a.m. It has been moved to 2 p.m. And to do that, it is over at the dock at 7 a.m.
A nomad car, and until my body just says, nope, I'm not getting in that car again, I'm going to be a nomad. So they're not a conflict to me at all between buying a little piece of land and having a home base and being a nomad. I see no conflict, and some people do, and that's fine. We're all different people, we all have different opinions, and they're all opinions. There's no right or wrong, there's only what's right and wrong for you, and for me, it's right to own a piece of land. And now that I'm older, I'm 70 now, and so I am thinking more and more of the day as my eyes diminish and as my reflexes diminish and my balance diminishes, and I'm watching it happen right in front of my eyes. I had bought this 2 years ago. I bought 40 acres and subdivided it and sold half to a friend, and so I have 20 acres in the vicinity here. On the road, if you're tired of being chased around by the police, of getting the knock and where am I going to camp tonight, have a home base. You can go in and set on for a month or 2 or 3, and then hit the road again. Just get your bearings on that home base. More issues are a doctor's visit. I've heard from a lot of people that say, Bob, what am I going to do about my doctor? I'm older, I have a doctor, I need to see my doctor once a year. That's not uncommon. Maybe you need to see your doctor every 6 months, every 3 months. If you decide where you want your home base to be, and this is crucial, we'll talk about that a little bit more later. I have a place near doctors, and so if I go to my place, I spend 2-3 months a year at my property in north of Flagstaff. And your vets, I see lots of dogs here. We love our dogs, and so if you have a vet, then you've got a vet you know. I've been going to the same vet for a long, long time, and it's because I have a home base. And then finally, some of us, when we go on the road, we get a storage unit. We pay $100 a month for the year. That's $1,200. We do it for 3 or 4 or 5 years. Before long, you paid enough to buy a piece of land, and then you buy a small, cheap cargo trailer, and you got your own storage, and at the end of it, you've got the land. You still own the land and the cargo trailer, and you've got your storage, and you've paid for it in your storage fees. So, that's another really good reason why you should be looking for a little cheap piece of land and getting onto it. Why? Why would you consider buying a piece of land? First, there are legal issues. Those of you who have become nomads, you know the issues with having an address. Your insurance company wants to know where you garage your vehicle. The state wants to know where you ought to send your license plate number and your new license plate, and your insurance company is very concerned. And so the legal issues involved with being a nomad become quite a bit difficult. I've done a lot of videos on them. A lot of people have talked a lot on YouTube about them. It's an important issue. Place I want to be, and it's 20 acres, and I like my neighbors, and the weather is pretty good. It's a little hot in the summer, a little cold in the winter, but not terrible. I could endure there, no problem. I bought a little shed. It's a 12 by 20 shed, and I insulated it well, and I could easily spend my winters there. I bought a bunch of solar. There's a place down in Phoenix, Gilbert, Arizona, where you can buy solar super cheap, and I've got tons and tons of solar, and I got tons of room to put it out in. I can live there very comfortably for the rest of my life. So that's as you get older and you start thinking about, I'm going to need to spend more and more time in one place. That's another good reason. And then it's kind of the idea of homesteading, and the idea of living tiny, the tiny home movement, the homestead movement. We all tie in really well together with the nomadic community. So maybe you've got a green thumb and itchy feet. How do you take care of those two big problems? Well, a little piece of land can do that for you. You can have your garden, you can have some vegetables and flowers, and then you're on them for the summer. And then when the itchy feet just drive you too crazy and the winter starts to come in, you say, I don't want to be here anymore. You turn the key and you drive away. And so the two combine, I think, really well for a lot of people. Not everybody. There's going to be a large group here that this is not really valid for you, but maybe one day it will. One of my ex-wives, it's a sad thing when you say one of your ex-wives, but I'm going to say that. She had a green thumb and we wanted to travel, but she just could not. The green thumb was all powerful for her, and I completely respect that. I live in a Subaru that gets 30 miles to the gallon. I create all my own electricity. I burn gas, but at 30 miles to the gallon, I'm burning kind of the minimum amount I can. If I could have, I would have bought a Toyota RAV4. I got to have higher clearance. Couldn't buy a Prius. Okay, so I think prepping, being prepared, is a very valid reason to buy a piece of land, so that as things get steadily worse in this slow motion catastrophe, you'll have a place to go. I think that's a completely valid. Considerations when you think about land. Number one consideration are county codes. The county decides. Mostly the state doesn't. Mostly the county controls the codes in where you're going to buy land. Know the codes. Know you can live with them. Find out what they think about tiny houses. They can find out if they think it's okay to live in an RV in your land. Will they let you? There are a lot they will not. If they will let you, what hoops do you have to jump through? That's your responsibility. Find out. Arizona, which is where I have bought my property, is pretty good. There are parts of Arizona which are excellent. Where I'm at now is not great, and I'm taking a chance. I know the county codes. They're not that good towards us. But I'm in an area of Arizona, north of Flagstaff, where everyone's doing it, and I'm going on everyone does it. So that's risky, and I can't recommend you do that, but I'm doing that. So know the county codes. Can you live with them? Is it something, are they going to one day knock on your door and tell you, you can't live here in your RV, you can't live here in your shed, you've got to go. Know that before you put down money. Weather, that's the biggest consideration. I love Alaska. I've lived here for over 40 years, but I'm not buying land and settling down here. I'm just not doing it, because for 6 years I lived in a van in Alaska, and I tell you, I would not do it again. Well, I would do it again, but I wouldn't do it for the rest of my life. I would short term, not long term. So avoiding extremes. That's basically what I'm saying. There's a lot of Arizona, a lot of Nevada, a lot of New Mexico, places I would not consider going. Too hot, too cold. I mean, extremes of heat and cold. A little bit's fine, and you're going to have sun. And finally, not finally, but next, soil and water. Consider, can you grow crops? Do you want to grow crops? Is that important to you? If it's not, then don't worry about it. But if it does, and you can do a lot, if there's ranches in the area, and there usually are, you can buy truckloads of manure and build up your soil. And if you know anything about that stuff, you can build up your soil. The biggie is water, and in Arizona in particular, that's the biggest issue in the desert Southwest, much of the Southwest. Where I'm at, it's impractical to put in a well. You might put in 600 feet and not get water. And that's pretty expensive trial and error. And so water's the biggie. Now, a lot of places you can get by with rainwater catchment. And just catching all your rain will do the trick. You're going to have to buy some big drums. I'm putting in a multiple 500-gallon tanks to do rainwater catchment, and I believe that's going to do all I need. That's something for you, a consideration before you buy. know where you're getting your water from. You're probably going to be completely off grid, and so you got to cover all your bases. For most of us, affordability is really big. Like I said, I bought my first piece of land for $2,000, and you're going to find a lot of land flippers that are just going to go around and buy up lots of little pieces of land. They're going to mark it up. He probably bought that piece of land for $1,000. This was 8 years ago, and so he probably bought it for $1,000, sold it for $2,000. He's carrying the note. He's not got much invested. So he took the $500 down, and he's kind of hoping I don't pay him, because what's he going to do if I don't pay him? He's going to take it back, and what's he going to do with it then? He's going to sell a ton. Everywhere you go, you're going to find land. It's not going to be great land. Like I said, this isn't great land. I'm not going to get water. That piece of land is pretty barren. I have a video on it. My channel. You could go see that land, and I've got a video on this new land. My new land has a lot of trees. It's pretty. I'm very happy. It's not gorgeous. It's not Alaska gorgeous, but it's pretty darn nice, and I really like being there. And so you want to give a lot of thought to the quality of your land and affordability. But affording owner financing, you don't have $10,000 to go buy a piece of land. You don't have to. You can easily find an acre or two for $5,000 to $10,000, $1,000 down, and make the payments, and you've got a piece of land. And so it is much more affordable than you think it might be. It's just something that every nomad should be giving some consideration to. There's lots of good reasons, and if you're younger, it's probably the urgency is greatly less. Although, if you're keeping a home storage, you're going to pay for a piece of land eventually if you just keep a storage unit. And so that makes it something that everyone here could consider. There's a bunch of you just won't keep storage. I can't tell you how many people I've known. I meet a lot of people doing this, and I've known a lot of people that got storage, had it for a year, 2, 3, said, I'm sick of paying for this, went home, got rid of everything, and then they were totally free. That's really a common story. And so, but if you had bought that piece of land, then you'd still have something. You wouldn't have paid that 2 or 3 years out and not have anything left. Good states, Arizona, there's quite a bit of land in Arizona, Oregon. There's surprisingly, again, the weather is the big consideration. You don't want extremes of heat, you don't want extremes of cold. Okay, we got just a couple of minutes. Yeah.
The idea of committing a little bit larger amount of money to purchasing the land so that way you can choose your neighbors and generate some income for yourself.
Absolutely. That's why I bought a 40-acre piece. It was pretty. I liked the land, and I had a good friend. And since I've been doing this, and in the public eye and doing this, I started my Cheap RV Living website in 2005. I have talked to so many people who said, why don't we all get together and buy a piece of land and own it together? I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. That is a very difficult thing to do. I've never seen anyone pull it off. But everyone talks about it. But if you can buy that one, so I bought 40 acres, and then I sold half, and I still have 20 acres. And I've been very fortunate. I have great neighbors, because this piece of land had all large plots. They were all 40 acres, and some had been subdivided down to 10, but they were still big plots. So that's definitely a consideration. Yeah.
Question about water. If you don't have active water on your land, you don't have a well, and maybe you don't do the rainwater catch, or maybe your county doesn't even allow that, which is a thing to know.
Yes.
Also fuck that. What about getting water trucked in and the costs of that? Is that like the third option?
Yes, in fact, that's what I'm doing. I don't even have water catchment set up. Nearly all these places, there's going to be some small town, and when I say small, I mean small, one gas station town. You can buy water there for 2 cents a gallon. And what most people do is I have a trailer, and I put what's IBC totes. You've seen them. They're the white, they're square in a cage. That's called an IBC tote. It holds 275 gallons. So I have one of those, and I just go into town, and I buy 2 cents a gallon. I fill it. I come home and I transfer it into my water storage, which is right now just 50-gallon drums. But I'm planning on bringing in a 2,500 gallon tank. I'm a bit of a prepper, and so I want 2,500 gallons on my property. I can figure I can live I'm very frugal on water, so I figure I can live a long time on 2,500 gallons of water. And so, yeah, that's my plan. And yes, but just go and picking it up, and you can, if you will buy 2,000 gallons at a time. They usually want a pretty big amount. They will bring it out to you, and it's not even much more than your 2 cents a gallon. So yes, that's across Arizona. That is one of the most common things you're going to see, and I think in a lot of places where it's just not practical to put in a well, they will bring it out too. So there we go. Hope that helps.
Bob Wells, everybody.
I'm telling you, you gotta go to his channel. He's so awesome.
Thank you, Bob!
We love you, Bob!
Bob, once again, the man, the myth, the legend. Thanks for coming out.
Now, the only other event that I wanted to participate in got rained out, and that was laughing yoga. I have never heard of that, and I'm really sad that I missed it, because I feel like it would have been hysterical. But yeah. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're not subscribed, you should be. The next episode is going to be the conclusion of Vanstock, and I was so sad about it. Yeah, it's hard to meet great people, and then you got to watch them drive away. Hope to see you there.